And hello folks, and welcome back to our coverage of the 2022 OTB Open here at Gatekeeper Media, as we're bringing you some chase card coverage for round 2. Front 9 already up, so go check it out as we're now hitting the back 9. Once again, a special shout out to all of our Patreon supporters who helped make this coverage possible. Again, I am Dustin Mouret, bringing you the solo commentary for this event. And really looking forward to see how these players attack the back half of the course. So you can see Drew Gibson's already on fire, going 7 down through the front 9. Plenty of birdies, just that one blemish on hole 6. And certainly the rest of the card is still very much in the hunt. Take a look at the overall leaderboard. Simon Lizotte is continuing to have a good season after a late start to it. Drew Gibson, though, right behind him. Second position here on our chase card. So we get to another very iconic hole here at Swenson Park. A lot of redesign on this course. In fact, the majority of it is, but this one still kind of sticks around. And it's such a beautiful hole. Very risk-reward type shot with a couple of different water carries off the tee, as well as another potential water carry on your approach shot. You can bail out left if you don't want to really challenge the water too much. But the further right you are on the fairway off the tee, the easier the approach to the pin becomes if you're looking to attack for birdie. And Drew Gibson, a man with plenty of power to attack this right-hand side of the fairway. Oh, wow. He actually gets all the way up to the right-hand side of the water you have to cross for the approach, and that should be a very easy approach now for Drew Gibson. Kind of scary, challenge that deep water. That's way up there as well.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah.
Mixed feelings on that one from Joel Freeman, but I think he'll like that result as it winds up near that right-hand side. It's not that you can't go left. You can, but you have to challenge a very low ceiling with the left-to-right moving shot to approach the pin, whereas the right-hand side kind of just opens up a hyzer play to the pin over the water. So Calvin Heimburg puts a good move on that one. And by the way, the trees just before the water that Gibson was at is about 550 feet. So he threw that thing over 550 for sure. So it's going to drift a little bit left for Ricky, which means he's likely going to have to challenge that low ceiling up the left-hand side of the fairway to attack for birdie. Yeah, this is what we're talking about here. Got to swing a wide forehand to try to skip that thing in. Basket is very near the water's edge, though, so I have to be very careful about how close you try to get and what kind of putt you're going to be dealt with. Kind of some awkward footing there for Ricky Wysocki. And again, also worth noting, he is sporting a knee injury at this tournament. We mentioned that in the front 9, so just wanted to let you know here, too, if you haven't caught that yet. And that's a fantastic approach from Joel Freeman. See if Calvin can do the same. Always got to be a little bit scared that it catches heads and rolls to the water, but that's just fine. And yeah, I mean, Drew Gibson absolutely crushed this hole. He is way up the fairway. And yeah, just has like a pretty stock, very soft hyzer shot to the green. You will probably not see this hole play better than that. This Ricky has to settle for par. And there it is. Great job there from Drew Gibson. Continuing to just keep the birdies rolling in. Just a little wide right there from Freeman. Gonna have to settle for par just as Ricky is. Calvin, though, plays the hole well. We'll be able to get his birdie also. This was the 5th most difficult hole on the day, playing .32 strokes over par with only 8% of the field finding the birdie. So Calvin Heimburg and Drew Gibson join a rare class as we head to hole 11, 341-foot par 3 island hole. OB all over the place. And also the OB line kind of comes in off that wall. So even if you're on the wall, you are still OB. Drew plays an excellent little hyzer flip here. Is it going to be too deep, though? Yes! And that's what I was talking about. That OB line comes off that wall a few feet. You have to have really good distance control here to land on this island without getting too much ground action towards that OB. As Calvin Heimburg plays that to perfection. We'll take a little bit of a slow-mo look at his form. Again, one of the best throwers when it comes to distance and accuracy on tour. Always just notice how that plant foot just really digs in. More so than some other players. But uses it to generate a lot of power and a lot of accuracy. And that's looking dangerous from Joel Freeman. Yeah, that's going to spike over the OB line. This looks good, though, from Ricky, as long as it can stick. And it will. This is up nice there for Ricky to get his birdie. Almost able to get the par save there. Freeman will get the par save. That's really the one good thing about this island being so small is even if you go OB, there's still a good chance you can save par with the meter off that OB line. From Calvin Heimburg. Ricky will look to match that birdie as well, as he's right on the bullseye. As nearly about 50% of the field found the birdie on this hole, 48%. It is kind of a birdie or bogey hole, it feels like a lot of the time. Now we'll head on over to hole 12, a 445-foot par 3. There's a couple of different gaps on that right-hand side you can take with the backhand to swing into the green, but also some forehand options as well, as there's a lot of holes on this course, particularly on the back nine, that are a little bit shorter and kind of give the player their choice on what shot they're most comfortable with. See Calvin taking the early gap. Definitely viable, but just need to make sure you have a good swing on the end of the flight, and, well, Calvin certainly has that. You can choose to go a little bit more direct at it. There's kind of an inside gap as well on that right-hand side that some players will take. And again, there is the forehand out left. Ricky following the path of Calvin. And yeah, it's a great skip up there. Joel skating one up there as well, and that will roll into the circle. Looks like our players are so far stacking up nicely to have some birdie potential. A little bit wider shot there from Drew, and also a lot straighter. So he will be outside the circle for his putt. Just catches the left side chains, it looked like. Very close, though. Calvin from just outside the circles had a couple of low putts this round. But Gets that one over the edge for sure, and that's going to be a turkey for him here on holes 10 through 12. Once again, the conditions today were a lot more scoreable than the opening day. It was a lot windier. Still certainly some wind to contend with here, but not as much as the first day. And Ricky Wysocki catching another birdie there. That's 2 in a row. Keeping him right there with Calvin Heimburg in the tie for 7th at 8 under par. A little bit low there from Joel Freeman. He's had a couple of low outside putts here recently. See if he can correct that going forward. So we'll drop in the par, and Gibson will do the same. We'll be back after a short break.
I just got a chance to test out the new black hole portal, and I really enjoy it. There's 4 rows of chains. They've updated it with galvanized steel chains. That gives the chains more texture and a better chance to catch your putter. I think it's going to be a great target moving forward.
And now we're at hole 13, a 422-foot par 3. Pretty much a dead straight shot, but there are a couple of different gaps out left and right you can take. Again, very much dealer's choice on how they want to attack this pin. There is a Mando, though, near the outer edge of circle 1 that you have to stay left of. And that'll come up just short of that Mando tree, it looks like. Ricky elects to go roller. That's cutting in nice. That too looks like it will come just short of that Mando. So outside the circle for sure. You can already see that. A lot of different shot selections here from this card. And again, I kind of like that about this hole and some of the others here on the back 9, giving the players their choice. And that was looking really nice. Just catches one of those trees just before the circle. That one skates up right next to the Mando. Big jump putt here for Ricky. Come up just short. Bounces on the backside though, but he'll get the par. Yeah, tricky situation here for Drew Gibson. Seems like a big fan of that sign. So we get over to Calvin Heimburg. Has a look at it. Gives it the stepper and stinks it. Definitely have to rewind that one back. What a beautiful putt from Calvin Heimburg. Big score there for him to keep him in contention. 0% accuracy, though, on grabbing the disc out the basket on the first attempt, though. He needs to work on that percentage on his stats. Freeman gives that a little bit of a stepper as well up there, but we'll have to settle for the par. So looks like we're going to have a lot of drop-in pars here from our card, but Calvin, 4 in a row now, puts him up in the tie for 6th place now at 9 under par. Card cleans up here on 13. And we head on over to hole 14. 351-foot par 3. You don't see it here on the fly-through, but there is a triple Mando off the front of the tee that you have to hit. And there's also this OB green to the right of the pin that you have to really consider when choosing your shot shape. It's going to catch a tree early there. Have to settle for par on this one. Again, you have your options on how you want to attack this route-wise. That just looked a little low or a little too turned over. Either way, at least stays away from that OB green on the right-hand side of the fairway.
Oh, come on, you're more overstable than that.
Yeah, and that's actually going to go OB left. Almost had it just right. Maybe just needed a little more height or a little more stability. Now this needs to get left off that OB green. It does get the skip it needs. And yeah, that's going to be right there for a birdie look for Drew Gibson. There's a couple of pitch ups for par here. Freeman looking to save par with this potential bid. Comes very close. But we'll have to settle for bogey. Here's Gibson for birdie. Yeah, bucket hat mode initiated. We'll find the score. Also, look at that accuracy of getting the disc out of the basket. It's something Calvin will need to work on, as we saw from the previous hole. This time, perfection. We are going to see the pars get cleaned up here. So it will be the bogey for Freeman. And now we get the hole 15. This one is so tricky. There is a Mando that you have to stay left of off the tee. It's kind of a double island green. You have to clear a good bit to get onto this first stretch. And then you have a big water carry to approach the pin. There's also a couple of OB golf greens along the way that you have to contend with. And so there are a lot of variables in play for this hole. At 846 feet, that is no slouch on distance either for a par 4. Gibson airs that one out nicely. Right-hand side of the fairway, well clear of the OB green. Also a tight tunnel off the tee as well. As that will rest up near the water's edge. As this is consistently played as one of the most difficult holes on the course. It was second in difficulty in day 1. Oh, and that's a rough one for Wysocki, catching a very early tree with very little progress made. We have second in difficulty on day 1, 0.58 strokes over par. On this day, number 1 in difficulty, 0.63 strokes over par. There nicely. And yeah, I mean, this is such a tough situation here for Ricky. He didn't progress far enough to deal with the out of bounds that you kind of see just ahead of him, but still has so much ground he has to cover. Gets up here to that right-hand side, still may be able to salvage par from that position. Flexing shot here from Freeman. Pretty well executed right there near the circle's edge. We'll have a look at it. As you can kind of play a bigger hyzer out to the right-hand side, or you can attack the water carry directly, but that is very scary. You got to cover a lot of ground to do it. Almost never really see anyone go for that route. Almost always see this route you see now from Drew Gibson. That's actually going to be out of bounds. Must have landed near that OB bunker that exists kind of near the green. And that's deep in the water from Calvin. Wow. Just a little too much juice on that one. That is going to cost him. Ricky trying to go big here to see if he can save the par. Does get caught up on that tree, though. Makes it past that green bunker. And so it's a long look at it. Oh! Catches some chains on the right-hand side, but just a little too wide. Gibson able to come in there and grab a par. Not too shabby, considering that landing he had. And Freeman's just had some struggles in the putting green here, as that'll come up short. Nice par save there for Calvin after going deep and in the water on the approach. Ricky in for bogey after having just that tough tee shot. Couldn't really recover from it. There's only 5% of the field found the birdie on this hole. That amounted to 6 players. So definitely played very tough. We'll be back after a short break. Got it!
Oh my God!
World champion, Katrina Allen! World champion, James Conrad!
Right, now we're starting to approach the end of our round. We're on hole 16, a 399-foot par 3. Kind of right there in front of you. Elevated pin, though, makes putting a little bit tricky, and there's a couple of trees that guard the front side of the green. There's some OB left as well that you kind of have to worry about. That cart path you see there. Gibson elects to go for the low backhand hyzer on the right-hand side. Gets some big skips to the backside of the green, just outside the circle. You will occasionally see people play a forehand over the cart path left to attack the pin that direction. So a couple of options there. That'll come up a little bit short. Looks like Freeman is going to attack it with that forehand. Well, that's good. Just needs the skips. And he will find them. Great forehand there from Joel Freeman. A very risky shot to take with that cart path. Need to make sure you get back. But Freeman's definitely one of those players who's been consistently performing well on tour for a couple of years now, and definitely has the forehand to make things happen. Looks like Ricky's looking to follow that same route. Oh, that looks low and maybe overturned. No, catches edge. And gets back in play just outside the circle. Looked a little scary for a second there. And that putt will be just a bit wide. I'll have to settle for par on this one. Very near make there for Calvin Heimburg. Well, 2 have to settle for the 3. Here is Drew just outside the circle. He likes it. He's walking it in. Oh, it's a little high. And oh! Someone put a banana peel out there, I guess. Well, sir, You're about to get memed for a long time. I can see the shooting stars now. So we're going to see Ricky hit a pretty big comebacker for par. Oh, man. Still not really over that fall from Drew Gibson. Surprised we didn't get a rewind on that. Good for him. Freeman will collect the birdie after a beautiful forehand off the tee. I know he's had a couple of putting woes today, so it's nice to see him get one there, keep himself in that top 10 position. That tie for 9th with Ricky. Calvin will kind of maintain position, that tie for 4th. He looks very amused as he stays in that tie for 2nd. Head over to hole 17, a 737-foot par 4 here as we start wrapping things up. You have to contend with this peninsula green. That is where the real teeth of this hole is shown on how you want to approach this thing after your opening shot. There is a Mando that you have to stay right of off the tee as well, and there is an OB green on the left-hand side of the fairway also to think about. As the more center or slight right you are off the tee, it kind of plays for that backhand highs that are over the water to land the peninsula, or the more left you are, likely a forehand approach. So I think it kind of left on top of the hill there for Drew Gibson. Heimburg a little low out the hand, but still gets some good progression. A couple of skips there. And a roller here for Ricky Wysocki. It is certainly rolling, but too much. And that's what I was really curious about. I mean, that roller, if you get over to the right-hand side, it certainly has potential to do what you just saw there. It seemed really risky. Calvin with the backhand approach here to attack the pin. That's going to be just outside the circle and a death putt to consider. To get back in a hurry. Looks like it should. Oh, no. And I'm curious where he's going to take his lie, because I think the OB line comes off the edge. It's not the direct edge. So technically speaking, that did not touch in bounds up there near the green. I do not think. Good little forehand there, but still a lot to consider with the distance of that putt and the water right behind it. Just needs to get down and sit. Oh. Double OB penalty for Ricky Wysocki on this hole. That's tough. Yeah, as you can see, Gibson has to take it back from here. And that drifts off to the left-hand side. Again, another lengthy putt. This was certainly one of the more difficult holes on the day. Played .33 strokes over par, so 4th in difficulty. Only 13% of the field finding the birdie. Is it a slight chance or just kind of lays it up there? This is Calvin for a chance at birdie. Curious how much he wants to give this one a go with the water just behind the basket. Usually a guy who has no problem running the putt. Very confident in it. And that'll do. Another big putt for Calvin Heimburg this round. Puts him in that tie for second now. And Freeman floats one up there as well, so starting to pick up some traction on the putting green. It's a couple of birdies in a row, keeping him up near the top of the leaderboard. And yeah, with the double OB penalty, a bigger number there for Ricky. He's had a couple of tough ones here on this back nine. Gibson will drop it in the double. Now we get to our final hole, hole 18, 689-foot par 4. You need to get to the bend that the drone's about to get to, and then this fairway gets super skinny all the way up to the putting green, and that's what really makes this hole tricky, is that final stretch. There's also a Mando that you have to be left of, and there's some pretty tight initial gaps you have to hit off the tee as well, so this hole has a little bit of everything thrown out in front of you. But really the key is just making it to the corner so that you have a clean look at the pin on what is a very skinny fairway once you get to that point. That skates forward but doesn't quite make it to the bend, and so that's going to be a tricky situation for Heimburg. That forehand will get Ricky out into the open, which still has a lot of ground to cover on a skinny fairway. And this will catch a little bit of branches as well. Doesn't quite make it to the corner. And well, Joel Freeman, a little bit of National Geographic action. Has to go for the forehand roller to get out of trouble. And needs to curl back. There is some OB over there, and he finds it, unfortunately. Looked like it had potential, but didn't quite get back. And Ricky just playing it safe. Just pitching up to the corner. Gibson following suit. And Calvin Heimburg doesn't want any part of this either. Again, that fairway is just so narrow. Very hard to attack if you're not in perfect position.
Sit. Yeah, good dish.
Yeah, there you go. It does what he asked for. Gets him a chance to putt. Nice, smooth, slow turning backhand there from Gibson. Kind of challenged that right-hand side OB, but does stay in. Great forehand there from Ricky. Routine approach here for Calvin Heimburg, right near the pin. As this did play as the second most difficult hole in the day. 0.51 strokes over par. Only 14% of the field finding the birdie. There's a lot of big numbers out there as well. As we're going to see Gibson able to connect on par to finish off this round, keep him tied in fourth. Very much keep him in the race. Freeman floats one in there for bogey after going OB on his approach shot. Still near the top 10 though, however. Par putt from Ricky will keep him inside the top 15. This par, Calvin could find himself still very near the top, potentially on the lead card for the final round. In fact, very likely to be. There it is. He stays in third position. So Take a look here at our results. As Calvin got a little hot there on the back nine, starting to put some scores together to put himself in third position. Drew Gibson had such a fantastic front nine. Started well on hole 10, had a couple of bumps in the road, but still very much in contention. In fact, he's at the bottom side of the lead car with Calvin, joining Anthony Varela and Simon Lazat. And over here, we'll have Aaron Gossage, Austin Hannum, Gannon Burr, and Mason Ford for our chase card for the final round. Again, thank all of you so much for tuning in, and a special shout out to our Patreon supporters that help make the coverage possible. Be sure to follow and subscribe so you can catch the conclusion of the OTB Open, as well as future events that we'll have going on for the rest of the year on the Pro Tour and some other events sprinkled in as well. Again, I'm Dustin Mouret. Had a pleasure doing the commentary. If you'd like to follow me, you can. And catch you soon.